Welcome to Trademark Property Solutions Employee Training, featuring safety and company operations. In the first training session, we will cover an introduction to Trademark, which will include about Trademark, our divisions, company benefits, and our core values. In the second session, we will cover Trademark standards and operations, which will include probationary period, time cards and job tracking, required tools, chauffeur's license and DOT medical exam, communication board, requesting time off, drug-free workplace, company uniforms, credit card policy, and scanning receipts. In the third session, we will cover OSHA construction safety, which will include falls in roofing, falls in floor openings, falls on scaffolding, fall protection, back over accidents, carbon monoxide, respiratory protection, sprains and strains, asbestos awareness, electrical safety, chemical labeling, and material safety data sheets. In the final session, we will discuss fleet safety and maintenance, which will include vehicle safety, including distracted driving, winter driving, and wet road driving, fuel efficiency, which will cover an overview, vehicle maintenance, change how you drive, and gas saving extras, and vehicle maintenance, which will cover tire maintenance, exterior appearance, interior appearance, engine oil, transmission fluid, power steering fluid, and coolant. Introduction. Trademark was founded in 2003 by Matt Blachok. Most services are provided in-house, by our experienced staff members, who specialize and are licensed in many trades. We work with many local and international investors to purchase, rehabilitate, manage and maintenance their investment portfolios. We work with banks, brokers, insurance companies, regional and national mortgage service companies, and government agencies to get foreclosed homes back to marketable condition. We also manage condominium and homeowners associations. Those services include property management, pool maintenance, snow removal and groundskeeping. We pride ourselves on being a one-stop shop. Trademark works in 4 separate divisions, which include construction, real estate, property management, and field services. All employees must work together as a team, and support each division, when necessary. Company benefits are available to all full-time, permanent employees. We offer health, dental, vision, 401k, and paid vacation. Our core values. We strive to be a company known for leadership. A company where employees are proud to work. A company in which clients, business partners, contractors and suppliers enjoy working with. We gain trust by treating people with integrity, respect, and fairness. Standards and operations. Probationary period. During your first 90 days at Trademark, you are expected to learn the following: Trademark's standards and expectations, our clients' standards, fleet safety, truck organization, photo process, power tool safety, OSHA standards and safety, fleet maintenance, Trademark software, job time tracking, and learn some skilled trades. After 90 days of employment at Trademark, you will receive a performance review, which will cover job knowledge, work quality, attendance and punctuality, initiative, communication and listening, respect for others, and contribution to business strategy. If you do not feel that you are receiving proper training by your supervisor, please see Matt Blachok. Time cards and job tracking. Trademark pays minimum wage for shop and drive time to the job, for all service crews and from the job, for drivers only. Time and a half is paid on total work and drive time combined. You must also subtract 30 minutes each day for lunch, if you've worked over 6 hours, and a 15-minute break, if you've only worked between 4 and 6 hours. Completing time cards. To complete your time card, you must first write in your name and the pay period. Write in the time that you arrive at the shop and the time that you arrive at your first job. Since your drive time ends, your job time begins, so carry your in time down to your job time. Once you leave the job, your work time ends. If you are the driver, you will get paid for your return drive. Your return drive will be carried over from job end time. If you are not the driver, you will not get paid for return drive time, so leave the return drive blank. Enter the time that you arrive back to the shop. Circle P for passenger or D for driver. Adding time cards. Add a cross to calculate your shop and drive time to your first job. Add a cross to calculate your job time. Do not forget to subtract your break. Add a cross to calculate your return drive time. At the end of the week, add all of your drive time and work time. Time card must be added up and turned in every Monday. Job tracking. Each day you must list all job names on the back of your time card. Payday is every Friday. Checks can be picked up after 5:30 p.m., and will be located next to the communication board. Required tools. All construction and field service employees must use their own hand tools when performing work in the field. These tools include a toolbox or tool bag, a hammer, assorted cutters, pliers, channel locks, wrenches, assorted screwdrivers and nut drivers, a utility knife, pencils, a tape measure, a level, and a cordless drill. Chauffeur's license and DOT, medical exam. Trademark requires that all construction and field service workers obtain a chauffeur's license and DOT medical exam, at their own expense, before beginning work in the field. A chauffeur's license is required in the state of Michigan to operate any fleet vehicle. You must be a Michigan resident with no violations, suspensions, or denials on your record. To apply, you may visit any Michigan Secretary of State office. Make sure you bring the following documentation: a valid Social Security number, birth certificate, proof of identity, such as a driver's license, proof of residency, and pay a $35 fee. A DOT medical exam must be performed to certify your chauffeur's license. Copies of your DOT medical card must be kept on file at Trademark, and kept in the fleet vehicle that you are driving. Communication board. The communication board is located in the hallway between the main office and the garage. This is used to communicate important information from the office to the field. It is your responsibility to check the board daily. On the communication board you will find schedules, company memos, client updates, and other important company information. The time cards are located on the right side of the board. And on the left side, you will find company forms and documents. We ask that you do not post in this area, or write on anything that has been posted. Requesting time off. Occasionally, you may need a day off. We do not guarantee time off, and it is determined by current workload, how much time you have previously requested off, and job performance. Time off must be requested at least 2 weeks in advance, by completing the time off request form, located next to the communication board. Once completed, the form must be turned into the file slot on the conference room door. Drug-free workplace. Trademark explicitly prohibits the use, distribution, sale, possession, manufacturing or dispensing of any illegal drugs in the workplace, worksite or in any company vehicle. It is a well-established fact that employees who use illegal drugs, on or off duty, tend to be less productive, less reliable, and prone to greater absenteeism, thereby impairing their ability to perform tasks that are critical to the company's focus. This results in the potential for accidents on duty, and failures that can pose serious threats to health, safety, and the protection of property. Illegal drug use is detrimental to the operations and functioning of Trademark's employees. Therefore, it is our policy to ensure a workplace that is free of illegal drugs, and to eliminate illegal drug use by all employees in the workplace. To achieve this policy and as a deterrence to illegal drug use, Trademark established a comprehensive drug prevention program which includes pre-hire, random, for-cause, and post-accident drug testing. This policy is provided to you during orientation. You are expected to read the entire policy, and a signed copy will be kept with your employee records. Company uniforms. We believe that a professional image enhances our work product and makes us more competitive in the marketplace. In part, we convey that image through the appearance of our employees. All employees that work in the field must wear company uniforms. If an employee shows up to work without his or her uniform, they will be sent home, and not allowed to work for that entire day. We also ask our employees to maintain a neat and clean appearance at all times. Uniforms are deducted weekly from the employee's paycheck, and range from approximately $5 to $7 per week, based on the uniforms chosen by the employee. Field employees must also wear work boots in the field. Each field employee can choose any combination of 11 of the shirts to the left, and will receive 11 cargo pants. Our current pickup for uniforms is every Wednesday. Soiled uniforms must be turned in by then. Credit card policy. Trademark will issue company credit cards to certain employees for use in their jobs. Use of company-issued credit cards is a privilege, which Trademark may withdraw in the event of serious or repeated abuse. Any credit card Trademark issues to an employee must be used for business purposes only, in conjunction with the employee's job duties. Employees with credit cards shall not use them for any non-business, non-essential purpose, or any personal purchase or any other transaction that is not authorized, or needed to carry out their duties. Tools must not be purchased on the company credit card without consent of your supervisor. You are required to bring your own hand tools to each job. Any unauthorized credit card purchases are considered to be theft, are taken very seriously, and subject to termination. Scanning receipts. All employees with credit cards are required to scan in all of the receipts from their purchases. After scanning the receipts to your folder, you must review all scanned-in receipts, correct any errors, and fill in any missing fields. The following video shows an overview of the Neat scanner that is used to scan in receipts.
Hey, whether you run a business or a household, you know that one of your biggest challenges is reducing all the paper clutter in your life. Neat 5 helps you manage personal or business-critical information better by transforming your receipts, business cards, documents, all your paperwork into organized digital files. Just pop your paper in the scanner and Neat 5 does the rest. Our patented technology reads and extracts key information from your receipts or business cards and auto-populates fields, so you don't have to enter anything manually. And you can do it anywhere, sitting in a coffee shop, waiting in an airport, turning all your analog stuff into usable digital information. All your information is keyword searchable, so you can find important documents such as bank statements or favorite articles in just seconds. Plus, Neat 5 helps you synchronize business card data with contact management systems like Outlook. Our new reporting wizard lets you quickly create expense, tax, or spending reports and save them in the format of your choice. Plus, you can import PDFs and print web receipts and digital documents all directly to Neat. And you can export data to Quicken and QuickBooks with just a few clicks. With Neat 5, you can do it all. Organize it, secure it, share it, even search it to get more work done faster and easier.
OSHA construction safety.
In the U.S., more than 800 construction workers die every year while on the job. Falls are the #1 cause of fatalities in construction. Falls cause 1 of every 3 construction worker deaths. These falls happen in a split second while workers are on roofs, scaffolds, ladders, bridges, and other work surfaces. But these deaths can be prevented. The video you're about to see shows how quickly falls at construction sites can lead to workers' deaths. The video will also show what employers must do so that the work can be done more safely. Employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace and required protective equipment. you'll see that using the right type of fall protection saves lives. Please be advised, the scenes you're about to see deal with deaths at construction sites and might be disturbing for some people. All scenes are based on true stories. Two workers were re-roofing a two-story home with a pitched roof. They were not wearing any personal fall protection. The workers used nail guns to install shingles over an old layer of shingles. One of the workers was close to the edge of the roof. As she reached to pick up another shingle, she lost her balance. She slipped off the edge of the roof. She fell more than 20 feet and landed on the driveway below. She died instantly from her injuries. Let's look at the events leading up to this tragic incident and see how it could have been prevented. Originally, the workers had no fall protection, which OSHA requires when working in residential construction at heights of 6 feet and above. Let's look again at the workers installing shingles. Now they are both wearing personal fall arrest systems. Each system has a full-body harness, a rope grab lifeline, and connectors. Snap hooks connect each worker's rope grab lifeline to secure roof anchors, which are located higher up on the roof. D-rings connect the workers' safety harnesses to their rope grab lifelines. As before, the worker reaches over to pick up a shingle, loses her balance, slips, and falls. But now, because she's wearing a fall arrest system, she only slips 2 feet and doesn't fall off the roof. This example shows the importance of employers following OSHA's fall protection standards to ensure that workers are provided with a safe workplace. These types of construction deaths are preventable. The fall protection measures shown here save workers' lives. Use fall protection on the job. It could be the difference between life and death. In the U.S., more than 800 construction workers die every year while on the job. Falls are the #1 cause of fatalities in construction. Falls cause 1 of every 3 construction worker deaths. These falls happen in a split second while workers are on roofs, scaffolds, ladders, bridges, and other work surfaces. But these deaths can be prevented. The video you're about to see shows how quickly falls at construction sites can lead to workers' deaths. The video will also show what employers must do so that the work can be done more safely. Employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace and required protective equipment. You'll see that using the right type of fall protection saves lives. Please be advised, the scenes you're about to see deal with deaths at construction sites and might be disturbing for some people. All scenes are based on true stories. Two workers were framing the walls of a new 2-story house with a basement. They were working on the 2nd floor near an open stairwell. There was no guardrail or floor cover, and the workers were not wearing personal fall protection. After framing one section of a wall, the workers raised it and moved forward to put it into place. While moving forward, one of the workers stepped towards the unguarded stairwell to hold the side of the wall section. He fell down the unguarded stairwell opening. He fell 20 feet and landed on the concrete basement floor. He died from fatal head and internal injuries. Let's look at the events leading up to this tragic incident and see how it could have been prevented. Originally, the workers were nailing in the boards to frame a section of the new wall, and the stairwell was not protected by a guardrail. Now, the stairwell is protected by a guardrail as required by OSHA. As before, the workers are moving forward to install the completed wall section. This time, as the worker steps toward the stairwell, the guardrail stops him. He continues forward to place the frame section in place. Another way to protect workers is by putting a proper cover over the stairwell opening. The cover must be secure. As shown here, the worker steps onto the cover and continues to put the section in place. This example shows the importance of employers following OSHA's fall protection standards to ensure that workers are provided with a safe workplace. These types of construction deaths are preventable. The fall protection measures shown here save workers' lives. Use fall protection on the job. It could be the difference between life and death. In the U.S., more than 800 construction workers die every year while on the job. Being struck by vehicles, heavy equipment, and other objects is the top cause of injuries and the second cause of death for construction workers, killing more than 150 workers in 2009. But these injuries and deaths can be prevented. The video you're about to see shows how quickly struck-by accidents at construction sites can lead to worker deaths. The video will also show what employers must do so that the work can be done more safely. Employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace and required protective equipment. You'll see that taking the right protective steps saves lives. Please be advised, the scenes you're about to see deal with deaths at construction sites and might be disturbing for some people. All scenes are based on true stories. A surveyor was spray painting the ground to outline the area for a new building pad. At the same time, the driver of a wheel tractor scraper was moving forward to get the ground ready for pad construction. There was no spotter at the site, and there was no internal traffic control plan in place. Before backing up to go over the ground again, the driver checked his rear view and side mirrors. He didn't see anyone in his mirrors, so he backed up. The driver's backup alarm didn't work, so the surveyor did not hear the scraper coming towards her. As the driver backed up, he ran over the surveyor. She died from the injuries. Let's look at the events leading up to this tragic incident and see how it could have been prevented. When a vehicle on a construction site has an obstructed view to the rear, OSHA's standard requires employers to provide that vehicle with a working backup alarm or a spotter on site to tell the driver when it is safe to back up. Now let's see what happens when protective measures are in place. Although there is now a working backup alarm, it is barely audible over the background noise. So as an added safety measure, there's also a spotter on site wearing a reflective vest. There's also an internal traffic control plan in place. This plan helps protect workers because it tells the drivers of moving vehicles and equipment the safest way to move around the work site. So this time, before backing up, the scraper's driver waits for the spotter's signal so he knows the area is clear to enter. Now, as the driver reverses, the backup alarm can be heard, and no workers are near the scraper. This example shows the importance of employers following OSHA's vehicle safety standards for construction sites to ensure that workers are provided with a safe workplace. These types of construction worker deaths are preventable. The protective measures shown here save workers' lives. In the U.S., more than 800 construction workers die every year while on the job. Many of these deaths happen when workers breathe in harmful chemicals. Carbon monoxide poisoning is the #1 cause of these deaths from breathing in harmful chemicals. It is so dangerous because people can't smell, see, or taste it, and it can kill within minutes. But these deaths can be prevented. The video you're about to see shows how quickly carbon monoxide can lead to workers' deaths. The video will also show what employers must do to assure that this work can be done more safely. Employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace and required protective equipment. You'll see that using the right type of protection saves lives. Please be advised, the scenes you're about to see deal with deaths at construction sites and might be disturbing for some people. All scenes are based on true stories. Two workers were framing and finishing the basement renovation of a 2-story home. One worker was using a gasoline-powered wet saw to cut a hole in the concrete wall for a window, while another worker was marking lines for the next window to be cut. 2 newly cut window holes were sealed so that no fresh air was coming into the basement. As they worked, exhaust from the wet concrete saw entered the air. Many things were in the exhaust, including carbon monoxide. This very dangerous and deadly gas can't be smelled, seen, or tasted. So the workers didn't know they were being harmed, and because no fresh air was coming into their work area, the amount of carbon monoxide continued to increase as the saw was used. After using the saw on and off for about 3 hours, the worker outlining the new window complained of a headache. She tried to go upstairs and get some fresh air, but she fell to the ground before getting to it. The co-worker turned off the saw and tried to assist her, but he quickly became dizzy and collapsed on the ground also. Co-workers arrived on the scene hours later, but they were too late. Both workers died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Let's look at the events leading up to this tragic incident and see how it could have been prevented. These workers were in a closed-in space where a gasoline-powered concrete saw was being used. Because there was no fresh air coming into this work area and the exhaust was not released to the outside, the carbon monoxide from the exhaust stayed in the room. There was also no carbon monoxide detector or alarm to warn the workers of the danger. The best way for these workers to stay safe from carbon monoxide poisoning is to not use a gasoline-powered saw. Instead, they should use a hydraulic or pneumatic concrete saw, which do not produce carbon monoxide. Let's take a look again at the workers in the basement. Now the workers are using a hydraulic saw, and there is no buildup of carbon monoxide. This video shows how using a gasoline-powered saw led to carbon monoxide poisoning, killing these workers. But this is not the only equipment construction workers use that can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning. It can happen with other fuel-powered tools. Some examples include portable generators, space heaters such as salamanders, trowels, and water pumps. This example shows the importance of employers following OSHA's standards to ensure that workers are provided with a safe workplace. These types of construction deaths are preventable. The protective measures shown here save workers' lives. Use these protections on the job. It could be the difference between life and death. Each year in the U.S., 31,000 construction workers seek medical attention due to sprains and strains suffered on the job. These injuries happen when the human body is forced to work beyond its limits. Lifting, pulling, pushing, reaching, bending, and other common construction activities can cause these injuries. The pain resulting from these injuries can last a lifetime and affect construction workers' lives at work and at home. But these injuries can be prevented. This video shows how overexertion at construction sites can lead to worker injuries. The video will also show what employers must do so that the work can be done more safely. Employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace and required protective equipment. You'll see that taking the right protective steps can help prevent these injuries. An experienced commercial electrician was wiring a newly built commercial building. He'd been doing this kind of work for several years. While standing on a ladder that was too short for the job, he pulled long runs of a heavy gauge wire. He then attached the wiring above his head to the ceiling. The job involves awkward pulling movements while reaching overhead. After several days on the job, the stress on the electrician's arms, neck, back, and shoulders has become too much. As a result, the pain the electrician feels has affected his ability to do the work. Let's look at the events leading up to these injuries and see how they could have been prevented. As before, the electrician is attaching wiring to the ceiling. But this time, he is standing on an elevated platform that is the right height for the job. This reduces his overhead movements and prevents stress to his body. Also, as he attaches the wiring, he is now using a mechanical wire puller to get the wire he needs. This way, he doesn't hurt himself by pulling the wire by hand and straining his body as he did before. Making these types of small changes in work activities can prevent painful injuries. This example shows the importance of employers using OSHA's ergonomics guidelines. These are guidelines designed so workers can avoid stress and injury to their bodies. These types of injuries are preventable. Follow OSHA's guidelines at work sites. By following the guidelines, workers can avoid suffering a lifetime of pain from these injuries.
Electricity is all around us. It is an essential element in our daily lives. Nearly everything we do is connected with electricity. On the job site, working around electricity can be very safe when workers properly identify and mitigate the hazards. If hazards are ignored, electricity can strike out, and its effects can be devastating. As with any task on the job site, you should never attempt to perform work without the proper training and experience. Only qualified personnel should be involved in the operation or repairs of electrical equipment. Inadequate training, lack of experience, and failure to recognize potential hazards could result in electric shock or arc flash. Electric shock can occur when a worker approaches or contacts exposed energized electrical equipment. Workers' exposure to electric shock can vary from a tingling sensation to involuntary muscle contraction causing respiratory paralysis, ventricular fibrillation, and severe internal and external burns, and even death. The victim is also at risk of other serious physical harm, such as falling from heights. Arc flash results from two electrical components sustaining an arcing fault. If conditions are correct, an arc flash will result, followed by a blast wave containing molten metal, shrapnel, and toxic gases. No matter the severity, any worker exposed to any level of electrical shock or flash must seek medical attention. While electricity has the power to seriously harm you, the risks of electrical shock can be mitigated and work can be safely carried out without incident. Electrical safety begins with the proper use of field-level hazard assessments and identifying the potential hazards. Your hazard assessment is the first step in protecting you and everyone else on your job site from any associated hazards, which may include electric shock. A brief inspection of your job site will help identify other potential electrical hazards. While performing your walkthrough, look, listen, and smell. This will assist you in identifying the hazards on your site. All power tools and equipment should be plugged into a GFCI. This is a must when working in wet, moist, or exterior locations. Ground fault circuit interrupters monitor the balance of electricity flow and can detect even minor imbalances and will trip, reducing the risk of electric shock. Bump testing the GFCI before use must be done to ensure the unit is functioning properly. By pressing the test button, the receptacle should trip. Pushing the reset button should restore power to the GFCI unit. If this fails, the GFCI unit is defective and must be taken out of service. Before using any electrical cords or tools, always inspect individual items to ensure they're in good working order. Faulty equipment can lead to personal injury and poses a risk to all those on a job site. If items are damaged or are in poor working condition, tag the item and take it out of service for repair or replacement. Always know the locations of fire extinguishers on your site. These should be rated safe for use with electrical fires. Common practice is the use of a dry chemical type ABC fire extinguisher. Depending on the type of work you're doing, a hot work or electrical permit may be required. Always ensure you're in compliance with your site-specific policies and procedures regarding permitting controls. Always consider overhead hazards in your work area. Power lines are an ever-present danger due to the possibility of electrical arcing or direct contact and should always be marked. High voltage hazards can also be in the ground. Line locates are required by law before any ground disturbance takes place. Always call before you dig. It is extremely important to recognize equipment in an abnormal condition, such as an open electrical panel, exposed wiring, sparks, smoke, or fire. When you encounter this situation, use the look, listen, and smell approach, as this is an immediate cue that extra caution should be used and may indicate a potentially dangerous situation is present. Water or liquids pose additional risk of electrical shock due to high conductivity. The hazard should be removed only after the area is de-energized. If you recognize a hazard that you cannot rectify, ensure that you ask questions and seek solutions from the appropriate personnel on site. Do not take it for granted that other workers understand the scope of your work or that there is a potential danger to you or to them. In the event that all safeguard systems have failed and a coworker is being shocked, never come in direct contact with the worker or you may become entrapped in the shock cycle. If possible, deactivate the power source and activate your emergency response plan. Working around electricity can be performed safely and without incident. by executing sound judgment and diligent observations in order to create your field-level hazard assessment, and by following the proper safe work procedures, you'll be well on your way to completing your task without incident. Remember the importance of using the proper equipment in good condition and by wearing the proper personal protective equipment. By employing all these safeguards, not only will you help keep yourself and your coworkers safe, you'll help ensure that you'll return safely every day to the people who count on you the most.
Vehicle safety and maintenance.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Van Tassel, Manager of Driver Training Programs for AAA. We're talking about how to avoid distracted driving, and today we're going to put 3 regular drivers to the test, asking them to text and drive on a closed course. This is our closed driving course. AAA has set up a route lined with traffic cones. I'll be in the passenger seat, and we will ask each driver to read and send text messages while navigating the course. Each driver will be scored on how well they do. Okay, text, where are you? Where are you? And just between this set of cones here. Text, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? This way. Text, I'm running late. I'm running late. Okay, text, meet me at the movies. Meet me at the movies. Okay, text, pizza tonight. Pizza tonight. All right, text, who's your friend? Who's your friend? As you can see, these regular drivers had trouble driving while texting. They could not keep the car in their lane, they drove in a jerky manner, and their speed varied quite a bit. Their text messages weren't very accurate either. Let's see what the drivers thought of the challenge.
Driving the course today was more difficult than I imagined. I really felt I was going to be able to do it just fine, and coming in here I ended up knocking down lots of cones, and I found actually setting the text while taking the turns to be very difficult.
I knew there were a lot of risks with distracted driving, especially texting, since you need to take your eyes off the road. I don't feel that I will text and drive going forward because it's way too dangerous.
My friends should know that texting and driving, it seems easy, but when you're really trying to pay attention to the road and the text, it's difficult. I don't think I'll be texting and driving in the future.
What you've seen drivers attempt here today is an oversimplification of much more complicated behaviors that are occurring on our highways every day. We hope that after looking at texting and driving from a new, outside perspective, you'll be convinced not to try it yourself. Remember that distracted driving, no matter what the distraction, is a hazard for all motorists. When you're behind the wheel, driving safely is the most important thing you should be concentrating on. With common sense and a little planning, you'll find that avoiding distraction is not as great a challenge as it may seem. And at the end of the day, it's just not worth the risk. Thank you, and we'll see you on the road. Severe winter weather can be both frightening and dangerous when driving. That's why it's so important to know the safety rules for dealing with winter road emergencies. Here's what you need to know to stay cautious in adverse weather and prepare for winter driving. Keep your vehicle in peak operating condition and have it inspected before winter hits in full force. Pack a cell phone, blankets, gloves, hats, food, water, and any needed medication in your vehicle in case you get stranded out in the snow. Watch the weather reports and delay trips when especially bad weather is expected. If you must leave, let others know your route, destination, and estimated time of arrival. On the road, keep your gas tank at least half full to avoid gas line freeze-up. Never use cruise control when driving on any slippery surface. Always look and steer where you want to go on wet roads. When driving in snow, be sure to accelerate and decelerate slowly to help maintain traction and avoid skids. Plan your maneuvers well in advance and do one thing at a time. Brake, then turn, then accelerate, and keep your speed way down. Remember, it takes longer to slow down on icy roads. Nothing happens as quickly as on dry pavement. Don't stop if you can avoid it. Instead, slow your speed and keep your car moving. This can help prevent you from becoming stuck. When you do slow down, keep the heel of your foot on the floor and use the ball of your foot to brake very gently, squeezing the pedal slowly. If you don't have somewhere you have to be, stay home. Even if you can drive well in the snow, not everyone else can. So drive cautiously, take it slow, and stay alert to stay alive this winter. Spring and summer showers may mean flowers, but wet pavement contributes to over 1 million traffic crashes each year. Here are some tips you'll want to follow next time you're caught driving in the rain. Safety starts before you drive, and your goals should be to see and be seen. Replace windshield wiper inserts that leave streaks or don't clear the glass in a single swipe. Make sure all headlights, taillights, brake lights, and turn signals are properly functioning so that other drivers will see you during downpours. Also, turn on your headlights whenever you drive. You'll be that much more visible. Proper tire tread depth and inflation are imperative to maintaining good traction on wet roadways. Check your tire tread depth with a quarter inserted upside down into the tire groove. If you can see above Washington's head, start shopping for new tires. Check each tire's pressure, including the spare, at least once a month, and be sure to check the pressures when the tires are cold. Overall, you want to be extra cautious in wet weather. Slow down, avoid hard braking or turning sharply, and allow ample stopping distance between you and the cars in front of you. Also, do these things one at a time. Brake, then turn, then accelerate. And if you feel the car begin to skid, continue to look and steer in the direction you want the car to go. Don't panic and avoid slamming on the brakes to maintain maximum control. Follow these simple wet weather driving tips and stay safe in the rain.
Delaying auto repairs can be a dangerous gamble for motorists. While auto repair can be expensive and time-consuming, a breakdown is a real possibility if needed service is ignored. Disregarding auto repair can lead to the following examples of a dangerous auto failure. A loss of traction due to worn or bald tires can cause the driver to lose both braking power and steering control. Worn tires are more likely to hydroplane on wet pavement and skid on snow or ice. Check tire tread depth regularly and invest in new tires before excessively worn ones compromise driving safety. Worn suspension components and poor wheel alignment can contribute to a loss of control during sudden turns or high-speed driving. Tires, wheels, suspension arms, anti-roll bars, springs, shock absorbers, and struts all work together to keep your vehicle traveling in the direction they're steered with minimal pitch and body roll. Brake failure and fading can be caused by old brake fluid or low brake fluid levels. Water contamination of old brake fluid accelerates wear and corrosion of brake system components. And if heat generated during braking boils the fluid, it can lead to a partial or even full loss of braking power. Have brakes inspected annually or whenever the brake fluid in the reservoir reaches the level marked low. Obscured vision caused by worn, cracked, or rigid wiper blades that can't adequately remove rain and grime can cause collisions. Streaking and chattering are common signs it's time to replace wiper blades. Rubber blades typically last about 6 to 12 months depending on the climate, so replace them when they no longer clear the glass with a single swipe. Delaying any of this simple maintenance can lead to dangerous driving situations and possibly a collision. Be proactive and have your vehicle serviced regularly for a safer drive. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair. We're all concerned about saving fuel and protecting the environment. There's a number of easy tips that you can use every day to help get the most out of a gallon of gas and protect the environment while you're at it. The good news is there's several tips that everybody can do to make those changes. Simple things like properly maintaining our car, keeping the tires properly inflated, it can make a huge difference. Next is simply change the way we drive by slowing down a little bit, by accelerating a little bit more slowly, can really improve the fuel economy of our vehicles with no extra cost. Also, planning your trip, making sure that we route properly, that we don't run unnecessary distance can make a big difference in fuel economy. And then last, just getting some of the weight out of the car can make a difference. When you put all these things together, you really can save money at the pump and also do good things for the environment. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair. We're all concerned about saving gas, and one of the biggest factors is you. By changing the way we drive, we can get more miles out of a gallon of gas, and it can be as simple as changing the way we accelerate. A great example is if you pretend there's an egg between your foot and the gas pedal as you accelerate. You want to accelerate and brake in a manner that you don't crush the egg. Easing on the gas, easing on the brakes are a great way to save fuel. One of the biggest factors in saving fuel is to simply slow down a little bit. For example, for every 5 miles an hour you go over 60 miles an hour, the average car is going to use another 24 cents per gallon of gas. That's like saving almost a quarter every time you fill up for every gallon you add. And most of us know that unnecessary idling is wasting fuel. We can think of that as 0 miles per gallon. So when you have the opportunity, perhaps anytime you're going to be idling for more than 30 seconds, simply turn the car off. It's going to save us a little bit of fuel. None of these tips will cost you a dime, and putting them all together can save you big at the gas pump. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair. We're all concerned about saving fuel, and one of the great ways to do that is to properly maintain our vehicle. The first area we should take a look is our tires. Properly maintaining the air pressure in our tires can save gasoline and keep our car much safer. Now, one of the big misconceptions about tire pressure is where to find the right numbers. Well, looking on the sidewall of your tire is not right. The tire pressure listed on the sidewall of a tire gives you the maximum pressure. That's not where we want to run. We want to open our owner's manual, or we want to look right inside the driver's side door, and it will give us the exact pressure recommended by the manufacturer for our tires. Oftentimes, you'll find that the front tires and the back tires have different air pressures listed, so make sure we fill them up. When we check our tires, we should check them when they're cold. It's important, and we should check them at least once a month. Another consideration for best fuel economy is to watch the warning lights on your dashboard. There are a number of lights that can tell you that there's something that needs to be done with your car, but maybe one of the largest is the service engine light or maintenance required light on the dashboard. When this light comes on, it's telling you that the computer in the vehicle senses a problem and is definitely using too much gas. In fact, simply a defective oxygen sensor can use up to 40% more fuel than a well-maintained vehicle. So if you see a warning light on your dash, get it into the repair shop as quickly as possible to get it repaired. And finally, maintaining your vehicle according to the manufacturer's recommendation is really important. Simply pull out your owner's manual. It'll give you the information you need to maintain your vehicle in the best manner and get the maximum fuel economy. Following these maintenance tips will help you get the most fuel economy out of your car. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair. We're all concerned about saving fuel, and there's a lot of misconceptions about what will save fuel and what we can do to get the best fuel economy. The first one is using a higher grade of gasoline to get better fuel economy. The truth is that using the grade of gasoline that your car was designed to use is the best way to save some money at the pump. So look in your owner's manual and use the grade of gasoline that your manufacturer recommends, and that's your best way to save some money. The next is the difference between using the air conditioning and keeping our windows down. Many people think that keeping your windows down is the best way to go, and that might be a good idea around town. But on the highway, there's very little savings in keeping the windows down versus running the air conditioner. So when you consider your comfort, it might be a good idea to keep the windows up, keep the air conditioner on. It won't be a big difference in what we pay at the pump. And finally, a myth that really isn't a myth is that keeping extra weight out of the car can save fuel. Look through your car, look through the trunk, and take out those things that don't absolutely need to be there. Maybe a set of golf clubs, maybe some magazines, tools, whatever. Keep them out of the back, and we can pick up small increases in fuel economy. So keep these tips in mind to help save some money at the pump. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA, and today we're here talking about buying and maintaining tires. In this segment, we're going to talk specifically about maintaining your tire, what you need to know about keeping your tire in good shape, getting maximum performance, maximum life, and protecting your investment. The first thing we should talk about is tire pressure. Keeping your tires properly inflated is critical to maintaining the life of the tire, to maximizing its fuel economy, and perhaps most importantly, to keeping you and the people riding in your car safe. Now, the tire has a pressure listed on the sidewall, but quite honestly, that's not the place that you want to check to see how to inflate your tires. You want to look in your owner's manual, or you want to look inside the door jamb of the driver's door, and there'll be a little placard that says inflate the tires to a certain pressure. Interestingly, tires in the front may have a different inflation pressure than tires in the rear. We want to make sure that we inflate the tire to the proper pressure when the tires are cold. That means before we drive it in the morning. As you drive your car, the tires will start to warm up and actually increase the pressure inside the tire as much as 2 to 3 pounds. So the best thing to do is to check your tire pressure before you leave in the morning. Remove the valve stem cap, use your tire pressure gauge, check the pressure and record it. If the tires are 2 pounds underinflated, when you go to fill up your tires, add 2 pounds. You'll notice that instead of being at 30 pounds, the tire may now be at 32 or 33. Add 2 pounds on top of that to make sure that you're at the right pressure, and then check it again the next morning. The next step that we want to do in maintaining our tires is to make sure that we properly rotate them. Now, tire rotation is best done every 6 months or 6,000 miles. This is something you can do at home, but really is a great time to take it to a shop, have them rotate your tires, and check your brakes and check other components on the car to make sure that all the safety pieces are in good shape, that it's not time to perform some other maintenance on your vehicle. Another area of maintenance on your tire would be tire alignment. Now, alignment is something that we should be doing at least once a year, but in many areas of the country where roads are damaged by frost and we have potholes, it may be necessary to align your car more than once a year. If you find your car pulling to the left or the right or having a shimmy or shake, it's a great time to have it inspected for alignment and tire balance. Now, as we're maintaining our tires, we can take a look at the tire itself and tell a lot about what's going on. As you can see in this graphic, tires will wear differently depending on conditions that exist on the vehicle. The tire labeled number 1 wears on the inside of the tire and would indicate a problem with alignment. Tire number 2 wears on the inside and outside of the tire, would indicate problems with tire inflation. Tire 6 would indicate a shifted belt or damaged tire. 8 demonstrates the wear bars that are built into every tire that actually shows you when it's wearing out. And finally, we have tire appearance. While not critical to tire safety, it is something that we're concerned about to keep our vehicle looking good, and simply washing the tire with soap and water, at the same time removing any brake dust from the wheels, and once the tire is clean, simply finish it with a product that limits UV damage to the outside of your tire. In the next segment, we'll talk about changing a flat tire. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair, and maintaining the appearance of our car is a great way to have a cool ride and also protect our investment. Now, the first thing we're going to do is just give it a good bath, and to do that you want to have a lot of fresh water and some car cleaning soap. Spray your car down, get as much loose dirt, sand, road salt off. The next step will be to clean it with a dedicated car wash soap, and this is really important because many normal household cleaners will actually remove the wax, and maybe the biggest offender is dishwashing soap. So get some dedicated car wash soap, follow the instructions on the bottle, mix it properly, take a car wash mitt and wash off all the dirt from the car. Take your time, get the exterior well, make sure that you get in the crooks and crannies and get any excess dirt off. The next, we're going to rinse it good, and it's important to make sure that we get all the old soap off the outside of our car. So take your time, make sure you get it out. Don't forget the door jambs, don't forget the fuel tank filler. Make sure that you rinse that well. Next, it's important to dry our car so we don't get water spots. And to do that, the best tool made is a chamois. The old-fashioned natural skin chamois work great, and you want to get this wet, wring it out well, and dry off your vehicle. And it really is important to get all the water off. Now, when we're done with that, there are a couple of things that we might want to consider depending on what condition our paint's in. The first is something called a clay bar. And this is a product that actually has a very, very mild abrasive in it. And if you go over your car with a clay bar, it will actually remove things like rail dust, like contaminants from the environment, and can turn a car that looks nice into a great looking car. When you go to the store to purchase your cleaning supplies, you'll see polishes on the shelf. Now, polishes are often used in older paint jobs, but today's cars use a clear coat paint that can be damaged by an aggressive polish. So it's a good idea to take a look at anything you're going to buy to polish your car and make sure that it says clear coat safe. If you put all these tips together, you can keep the outside of your car looking good and really protect your investment for the long run. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair, and maintaining the appearance of our car is a great way to protect our investment. The interior of our car is where we spend most of our time. There are several things that we should know to keep that area looking good and prevent long-term damage. So let's start with the basics. Simply keeping it vacuumed, keeping it clean is important, and it's something we should do at least weekly. By keeping sand and dirt and salt out of the carpet fibers, the carpet is going to look good for a longer period of time. We also want to make sure that any stains that might show up on the carpet get cleaned up quickly. One of the best products to use is a carpet cleaner. A number of household cleaners may remove the stain, but it also could cause long-term damage to the carpet. So as we move up the car, let's talk about upholstery next. Now, depending on what type of upholstery we have, we'll need to use specific cleaners for that. If we have cloth seats, we want to make sure that we use a cleaner that's specifically designated for upholstery. Anything else can actually damage the fibers or create new stains. If we're dealing with vinyl, they'll usually wipe down pretty easily with a simple household soap. One important part of vinyl seats that some people have found out the hard way is we don't want to put protectant on those seats because it makes them so slick you actually start sliding around in the car when you turn a corner. Finally, with leather, there's a couple of things that are important. We really want to keep it clean, and to do that, we want to use a designated leather cleaner or saddle soap. Once it's clean, we want to make sure that we put a conditioner on it. And this isn't a regular protectant, this is a conditioner that helps keep the leather soft. You may not notice a difference each time you do it, but over the life of the vehicle, it'll keep that leather from cracking and looking old. It's a great tip and something that we should get in the habit of doing with leather at least once a week. The last area to talk about is the hard surfaces. This can be the dashboard, this can be anything that's really made of plastic or some plastic-like material in the car. And the first tip is when it comes to cleaning these materials, we want to use the least harsh cleaner that we possibly can. Many household cleaners can actually cause damage inside the car, so make sure that you're using a cleaner that's designed specifically for vinyl. And once we have that clean, we want to make sure that we protect it. And it's the rays from the sun that actually start to deteriorate most of the plastic surfaces in the car. So when you purchase a protectant, you want to make sure that it has the UV inhibitor, and you also want to look for something that has a low gloss or low sheen. Oftentimes, putting a high gloss protectant on the dash or other surfaces in your line of sight can actually become distracting with the sun under some conditions. The next thing we want to be careful of is not to protect some surfaces like the steering wheel, the brake pedal, and the gas pedal, because they often become slippery and become difficult to hold on to. Now, these are just the basics. You can go crazy inside the car with crevice tools and special pieces to clean intricate nooks and crannies. But the important part is to maintain the inside of your car, keep the dirt out of the carpet, keep any stains off of any of the surfaces, and protect those surfaces so they don't prematurely age. If you put all these together, you really can protect your investment in the long run. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair. Maintaining the fluids in our vehicle's engine is an important way to protect our investment and keep it reliable for the long term. Now, one of the first things that we think about is how to properly maintain the oil. And there are several tips that we'll go through, but we're going to start with simply how often do we check the oil in the engine. The engine oil should be checked at least once a month, and this is done by popping the hood and pulling the oil dipstick out, cleaning it, reinserting it back into the engine, removing it, and reading the level. It's really not very complicated, and if you can't find the engine oil dipstick, you can look in your owner's manual and it'll point it out to you. And while you're in there, the owner's manual will tell you how often you should change your oil. Now that's changed a lot in the last few years. It was once common to change our oil every 3,000 miles, but modern engines have recommended change intervals that go anywhere from 5,000 to 7,500 miles or maybe even more. In fact, some engines today don't even make recommendations based on mileage, but rather use engine computers to determine how you've driven and under what environments to recommend the best maintenance interval for long engine life. So now that we know how often to check and change our oil, the next thing to consider is what oil we're going to use when we do change it. Now, there are a number of things to consider, and the first is going to be the oil weight. This is usually represented by two numbers separated by a W. Once again, look in your owner's manual and look for the number that'll be 0W20, 5W30, 10W40. It will be a number like that, and it's important to use the manufacturer's recommended engine oil weight because using an oil that's too heavy can reduce your fuel economy, or using an oil that's too light can provide too little engine protection. The next thing to consider is its classification or certification. Now typically, this is represented by an API letter designation. So you'll see an API starburst and two letters. The most modern oil is SG. There's a separate set of designations for diesel motors, but in recent years there's been a proliferation of proprietary engine oil designations and certifications. Perhaps the most recent is GM's requirement for the use of Dexos certified engine oil in all 2011 and newer model years. So when you look in your owner's manual, make sure you understand not only the weight, but the designation, and make sure the oil used in your engine meets those exact certifications. Failure to do that could impact the warranty of your engine. The next consideration is a pretty easy one, and that's going to be for the type of oil that we use in the engine. Now, we can use synthetic, semi-synthetic, or even a base stock oil. We've looked in the owner's manual a number of times, and it'll give us the exact recommendation that the manufacturer has for maintaining our engine. If it requires synthetic, that's something that you definitely should use. However, if your owner's manual recommends just a base oil, you're fine using that. Now, some people may want to use a semi-synthetic or a fully synthetic, but you'll get maximum life and good performance out of using just a base stock oil. So these are the things to consider when thinking about engine oil, and following these tips can help you protect your engine for the longest period of time. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair, and maintaining the fluids in our vehicle's engine is imperative to protecting our investment in the long run. Now, brake fluid is something that we don't often think about, and the good news is that it's really pretty simple to select the right fluid for our car. There are three types available, that's DOT 3, 4, and 5. The good news is all we need to do is open our owner's manual and see what the manufacturer recommends. The DOT 3, 4, and 5 designations have been around for a long time, but we're seeing increasing use of DOT 4 and DOT 5, which is synthetic brake fluid, in use in everyday vehicles. The good news is the information's in your owner's manual. Checking it is easy by simply opening the hood and looking at the brake master cylinder, typically located on the driver's side of your engine compartment in the very back. There'll be a minimum and max line, and you want to top that off anytime the brake fluid falls below the minimum line. Now, it's important to note, if that falls frequently or you see it falling often, you want to take your car to a shop because that's a great indication that you have a leak in the brake system and can get it checked out quickly. And finally, we should consider how often we should change the brake fluid in our car. Now, this is something that's often not even recommended in the owner's manual, but really is important to maintaining your brake system in the most efficient manner, lasting the longest period of time. AAA would recommend that you change the brake fluid in your car or have it flushed every other year. Brake fluid actually absorbs moisture from the atmosphere, and that moisture can reduce its performance, allowing the brake fluid to boil under heavy braking, and can also allow corrosion within the braking system, which can result in costly repairs. So brake fluid is a pretty easy subject to discuss, but it really is important to the overall safety and performance of our vehicle. So maintaining it according to the manufacturer's recommendation is key to getting maximum performance over the life of your vehicle. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair. And maintaining the fluids in our vehicle's engine is critical to protecting our investment in the long run. Now, automatic transmission fluid has gone through a number of changes in recent years. Gone are the days when there were simply two types of fluid on the market. Many of today's manufacturers use a proprietary automatic transmission fluid, and it really is imperative that you use the right fluid to get not only a good shift quality and a comfortable ride, but to protect the warranty in your transmission. So let's talk for a minute about how to check the automatic transmission fluid in our vehicle's transmission. Most cars use a dipstick, much like the oil dipstick, where you'll simply start the engine and with the engine running, remove the dipstick, clean it off, reinsert, pull it out to check the level. Make sure you do it on a level surface, and if the transmission fluid is low, it needs to be topped off with the fluid that's recommended in your owner's manual. Now, some cars don't even use a dipstick anymore, so checking that owner's manual is going to keep you from fumbling around under the hood of the car looking for something that doesn't exist. Now, on those transmissions that don't have a dipstick, there really is no way to check the automatic transmission fluid, and the manufacturer counts on you changing it at the proper interval. So how often should you change the automatic transmission fluid? Well, once again, that's in the owner's manual, and typically it's going to be sometime around 3 to 5 years, depending on the application and how you use your vehicle. Some trucks can be as often as 25,000 miles when towing heavy. But it really is important that you change the fluid according to the manufacturer's recommendations, that you change the filter when you change the fluid to keep your transmission operating properly, protect your investment for the long run, and oftentimes protect your warranty. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair. And maintaining the fluids in our vehicle's engine is critical to protecting our investment in the long run. One of the fluids that we should consider is power steering fluid. Now, this is something that we shouldn't have to top up unless there's a leak, but using the right fluid is important. The key here is to open our owner's manual and look at the recommendations for our particular vehicle. For many years, automatic transmission fluid was used in power steering, and in fact, some cars have that today. But increasingly, there's manufacturer-specific recommendations for their power steering fluid. So it's important to look in the owner's manual and make sure that we're adding the right type of fluid. Many manufacturers do not list a recommended change interval for the power steering fluid. It's not unusual to see those that do go 5+ years. However, to maintain your system in best shape, it would be a good idea to exchange the power steering fluid every 5 years or 100,000 miles, really as a preventative to wear. Power steering fluid is something that's relatively easy to maintain, and keeping a close eye on it will allow you to maintain your car in top operating order. Hi, I'm John Nielsen with AAA's Approved Auto Repair. And maintaining the fluids in our vehicle's engine is important to protecting our investment in the long run. Now, a fluid that we need to consider is the engine coolant. And there's been a number of changes in recent years. There are 3 major types of engine coolant available today. There's organic, inorganic, and hybrid organic. Now, those terms are important, but most people refer to the type of antifreeze in their car based on the color. There's the old-fashioned green, then there's yellow and red, and a number of other colors in the marketplace today. These are really important to know the color because if you need to top off your antifreeze, you want to make sure that you're using the same type. So if your car comes with a green antifreeze, you want to make sure that that's what you're filling it or partially filling it with. If you mix the antifreezes, you run the risk of causing damage to your engine in a relatively short period of time. So now that we have an understanding of the basic types of coolant used in engines today, it's important to understand how to check it and when to service and maintain it. Let's consider for a moment how to check the coolant level in our engine. Gone are the days when we'd actually check it directly in the radiator. Today, we're actually going to look at the coolant reservoir. The coolant reservoir is usually in the front of the engine compartment, and it's going to have marks in there that tell you the minimum and maximum, in which case you want to make sure that the coolant level when the engine is cold is between those 2 lines. Now, it's important to note that with these coolant reservoirs, that many of them are pressurized just like the old radiators were, and we cannot remove the cap when the engine's hot. It's always a great idea to look in your owner's manual to understand where to check it. And if it's a pressurized system, you want to make sure that you top off any fluids, check any fluids only when the engine is cool. The final consideration is going to be engine coolant change intervals. Like we've said a number of times, this is something that we want to look in the owner's manual and get the manufacturer's recommendation. It can vary anywhere from 2 years to 5 years in length. When given a range, I would err on the short side. I usually change my engine coolant about every 2 to 3 years, depending on the type of engine, the type of driving that I do. So engine coolant is really an important fluid to consider in maintaining the overall life of your engine. These tips are going to help you make the best choices and protect your investment for the long run.